Did any of you guys have a phase where you hated the color pink, but now everything you have is pink? Because that's me. Hey guys, you're watching QDCrafts. Welcome back to another Minecraft Monday, and today I will be showing you how I made this Minecraft axolotl using Perler and art cal beads. If you watched my recent live stream I did a week ago, I designed and made this cyan Minecraft axolotl live in real time with some of you guys. It was really fun talking to the chat and hearing your ideas when it came to designing this, and this was just my prototype, but it was really fun to make this, and thank you to all of you guys who suggested I make a Minecraft axolotl. Axolotls are really cool animals, and if you're not familiar with them, they're basically water salamanders. They have these protruding gills out of their head that are really cool to look at if you've seen one in real life. I learned that an axolotl is native to Mexico, and currently they're actually considered critically endangered in the wild. But the interesting thing about that is that axolotls are pretty common in the exotic pet trade. You can find them at your local fish store and get one as a pet. I've seen lots of axolotls at my local aquarium, and I always thought they were really cool. I always thought axolotls were common, and I didn't know that they were actually endangered in the wild. As much as I would love to have an axolotl as a pet, every animal requires some responsibility and a lot of tender love and care to give them the best life possible, so always make sure to do your research and make sure you have all of the right equipment to raise a pet. Especially with aquatic animals, you definitely have to take care of the water quality to make sure that they are the best conditions. But of course, for those of you who just want to make your own little axolotl friend, here are the templates to make one. These are the shades of pink that I used for the leucistic axolotl, and I have 2 dark blue beads for the eyes. Links to the supplies are in the description below. Pause the video here to copy down the templates. These pieces will make the axolotl's head. And here is the rest of the body. To fuse the beads, I will be using the masking tape method, so I have a tape square made up of painter's tape that I will be covering all the beads with. Carefully flip the pegboard over and make sure none of the beads moved while they were being transferred to the tape. To get a matte finish on the beads, I'll just be using my regular ironing paper or parchment paper. Make sure whatever paper you're using does not have any wax on it so that it doesn't ruin your iron. Heat settings may vary depending on what kind of iron you have, but for me, I like to keep my iron on the polyester setting or number 3, so it's somewhere in the middle, never too high. I always iron until I see a dark imprint of all of the beads and make sure that there aren't any lines between them. Make sure you can still see a hole in each of the beads, otherwise you probably ironed a little too much. Once one side is completely fused, we have to flip it over, remove the tape, place down a second ironing paper, and iron the other side. Once both sides are fused, you know the drill. I like to keep a heavy book on top of all of the pieces as they cool down so that they will stay flat. This is how thick the beads should be after ironing. It's around 4 millimeters, and if you iron a bit too much, then it will get harder for the pieces to click together. So make sure you don't over iron. If you iron correctly, then all the pieces should perfectly interlock with each other, and let's finish the rest of the body. Sometimes if I'm not feeling like doing the masking tape method, I will just iron directly on the board. This is a bit riskier because there is a possibility that some of the beads may move to another peg if you accidentally lift up the paper while some of the beads are already fused to the paper, and it can cause a lot of problems. So I always make sure to keep my iron flat on the pegboard, weighing down the beads. I try not to lift the iron up at any point, and definitely not the paper, so that all of the pieces will stay the same as they started. Another issue you may run into when ironing directly on the pegboard is that the heat will cause the plastic to bend a little, and you can see on my pegboard there's a bit of a curvature to it, but don't worry, it will go back to being flat. What I do is I place it face down on my table, I press down on it, and as it cools I leave it face down, and in a few minutes it will go back to normal. I usually don't come across warping permanently in my pegboards, and I think that's because I keep my heat setting not too high so they don't warp a lot to begin with. But anytime I do see that it's starting to warp a little, I always push down with the pegboards facing the table so that it helps reverse the bending. So if you ever see that and you run into that issue, make sure to press down on your pegboards before it cools down. To attach the limbs to the body, I will be using these acrylic rods from ArtCal that will go through the beads, and of course you could use a toothpick if you don't have these. That is the axolotl's body all done, and I like how in this new design, the forelimbs and the hind limbs get a lot more movement. You can position them at different angles, and it will make it a lot more fun to play with. A really cool thing that I learned about axolotls is that they are able to undergo regeneration. If an axolotl ever comes across an unfortunate situation where it loses one of its limbs, maybe it got eaten by another axolotl, maybe it just accidentally got it cut off and injured, it can grow it back as if it was never lost in the first place. Along with being able to regenerate its limbs, I read that they're also able to regenerate other organs like the heart, and they can even regenerate their spinal cord. Definitely something that humans cannot do. So that is my leucistic axolotl all done with the modified design from the original prototype, which I made during the live stream. Try it out yourself, have fun picking out the colors, and make your own pet axolotl. These adult axolotls need some company, so I made a baby gold axolotl using my ArtCal mini beads. I always do the masking tape method for mini beads because they're so small and the pegboard is so fragile, so I don't want to completely melt the pegs when I'm ironing. Also with mini beads, my iron setting is on the lowest possible setting, and for me it's the silk setting at number 1. Assembling the mini bead axolotl is the same as the midi bead one, but instead of an acrylic rod, I have this mini bead stick that I also got from ArtCal. If you don't have this, you can use a paper clip. In Minecraft, axolotls come in 5 different colors. There's cyan, blue, gold, leucistic, and the wild type, which is a dark brown. But unfortunately, you can't find the cyan or blue axolotl in real life. You can definitely find the leucistic, wild type, and the golden axolotl in a pet store. Unfortunately, the blue ones don't exist, so no real life whooper and mudkip. You could also use glow-in-the-dark beads to make a green fluorescent protein axolotl. These axolotls are really cool because they will glow a bright green color, and this is created in a lab by scientists who genetically modify the axolotl so that they produce this protein called GFP, which glows a bright green and gives them that really cool color. This kind of thing can help with biomedical research and may one day help people, so we gotta appreciate our axolotls and show them some love. I made another baby one, which is the non-existent blue axolotl, and it will make a great sibling to the golden one. Compared to the regular sized axolotl, the mini bead one is so much smaller and so cute. Make sure you tag me at QDCrafts and share with me your recreations of this so that we can make a full army of axolotls. Thank you guys so much for watching and making it to the end of the video. I have decided to name each of my 4 axolotls that I have here. First, I have the adult couple. This is Jerry, the cyan axolotl, Miso, the leucistic axolotl. I don't know how I came up with these names, there was just a vibe to them. This baby axolotl is Genevieve, the blue axolotl. And lastly, I was gonna name this one Fred, but then I remembered that I had an air plant that I named Fred and it died. So rest in peace, Fred. I decided to name this one Sukuna because of its ability to regenerate its limbs and the heart. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and hit the bell notification button so that you'll be updated on my latest videos. Shout out to these amazing beaders for recreating some of my projects. They look amazing as always, and I can't wait for you guys to make the axolotls. I'll see you guys next time with another QDCraft. Bye! Oh no, Genevieve lost her hand. Good thing it'll grow back.